You know how it is when you take a trip back to your family's roots. You go looking for cherished memories, a connection to the past. But what happens when you find something else? Something that was buried for a very good reason. Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. A story where a simple family trip home turned into an absolute nightmare.
It all started with a simple warning, a rule. But this wasn't just some old wives' tale, you know? It was a rule born from a chilling secret, a presence that was lurking right there in the family's own courtyard. And that secret? Well, it was about to be broken.
Okay, so let's set the scene here. We have a family that's been living in Kuwait for a while, and they decide, hey, let's take the kids to see the ancestral village for the very first time. It was supposed to be this charming, nostalgic journey, but what they were about to uncover was way, way darker than any dusty family heirloom. So, at the heart of this whole story is this incredible clash of two different worlds. On one hand, you've got 21-year-old Sumaira. She's a modern young woman, she wears perfume, leaves her hair open, things that in some folklore are basically an open invitation for supernatural attention. And on the other hand, you have the family courtyard, and in it, this grove of trees with a really dark reputation. The locals all said those trees were haunted by jinns, these powerful, unseen entities. And this wasn't just some spooky rumor. Years ago, a family aunt's marriage prospects were completely, mysteriously ruined, and everyone blamed the spirits in those trees. But the only warning the kids got? It was super vague. Just stay away from the trees. Right, so that brings us to part 2, a friendship in the shadows. One night, the winter fog is rolling in, it's all atmospheric, and Sumaira, well, she completely ignores those vague warnings. She walks right up to the forbidden trees, and there she meets someone she thinks is just a mysterious new friend. And this is what's so wild, the total disconnect between what Sumaira sees and what's actually happening. In her mind, she's met a beautiful girl who lives nearby, someone fun who comes out at night to play. But the family knows the terrifying truth. That area is completely deserted. Her friend is the very thing they were all afraid of. The moment of pure horror comes when Samira's aunt finds her late one night, laughing and chatting away with absolutely no one. And this, right here, is where everything takes a very, very dark turn. The family confronts Sumaira. They tell her the truth, that her new friend is a jinn. And once the secret is out, the entity's influence just explodes. What was a secret friendship spirals into a full-blown waking nightmare.
Just look at how fast and how horrifying this transformation was. First, she just disappears during a visit to the family graveyard. Next thing you know, she's found unconscious, and when she wakes up, she's screaming her head off, talking about being dragged into an open grave. And it gets worse. She starts waking up at midnight, laughing manically, her body twisting into unnatural shapes, and multiple voices start speaking through her. Then come the demands, bizarre things like a red dress and raw meat. The absolute peak of this nightmare, the family finds her in the courtyard at 2:30 in the morning, on her hands and knees, literally eating dirt from the ground.
They are completely and utterly desperate at this point. So they reach out to an expert in these kinds of spiritual problems, a healer named Shah Sahib. But as he starts his journey to help them, the entity makes one thing crystal clear. It is not giving up its new prize without a fight. I mean, this just goes to show you the incredible power this thing had to manipulate the real physical world. As soon as Shah Sahib sets off, a violent rainstorm just erupts out of a perfectly clear sky. Then his car just breaks down for no reason. They're delayed for hours. And even when they get going again, the driver, on a road he knows like the back of his hand, suddenly has no idea where he is. He's completely lost. This entity was throwing everything it had at them to stop them from getting there. So when Shah Sahib finally makes it to the house late that night, the real showdown begins. This isn't about weird happenings anymore. This is a spiritual war for Sumaira's life and for her soul. The battle really unfolds through a series of prayers, and at the 7th recitation, Shah Sahib manages to force the possessed Sumaira to drink blessed water. The second it touches her lips, she lets out this blood-curdling scream like she's been burned by fire. The real fight had just begun. And the climax comes at the 11th prayer recitation. Sumaira is forced to drink the rest of the water. There's one final, violent jolt that literally throws her backward, and just like that, the entity is gone. It's expelled from her body. And after all that chaos, there's this sudden, shocking, deafening quiet.
With the creature finally gone, Samira can actually speak. She can describe what was tormenting her. And Shah Sahib, he knows exactly what it is. He identifies it right away from South Asian folklore as a very specific and very terrifying kind of jinn, a pichal peri, a shapeshifter that usually appears as a beautiful woman to lure in its victims, and it's known for one horrifying, telltale feature. Its feet are pointed backward.
So, Samara is free, which is incredible, but the danger hasn't completely passed, not by a long shot. To make sure she stays safe, the family gets a super strict set of rules to follow, and one final chilling revelation about the fate she just barely escaped. The healer's instructions were absolute, non-negotiable. First, they had to get out of that ancestral home before midnight, that very night. Then, for the next 41 days, Samira could not be left alone, not even for a second. And those original rules, they came back with a terrifying new weight: no perfume and no open hair. And then came the final, brutal truth. Shah Sahib told them that if they hadn't stopped it, the Pachal Peri was going to kill Samira on the 11th day by breaking her neck, the same number of days it took prayers to save her.
This whole ordeal really forces you to think about that blurry line between what we call ancient superstition and what might be timeless wisdom, doesn't it? Sumera's modern habits clashed with these very old rules, and the results were absolutely terrifying. So it kind of leaves us with a big question to chew on. In a world that's always pushing forward, what ancient warnings are we ignoring at our own risk?